Members of the Senate, Mr. President, I'm honored to come down here. I have some children, young people, adults from my district in the audience. The FCCLA has almost 200,000 participants nationwide, and I am honored that Tucker Middle School and Tucker High School have brought a contingent of hardworking, dedicated students and staff to be with us here today. And I would ask you to please stand up there. Tucker High School middle students, thank you for being with us. Thank you very much. These, as you know, FCCLA is a dynamic program that tries to develop a whole individual, the whole child. It has been a great asset to the lives of many young people. As we do our deliberations today, I think that those young people should be something we think about, something we have to focus on, because it is their lives that are affected by the decisions we make. In a minute, a couple of my colleagues and your colleagues are going to come down and start talking about the Hope Scholarship Program. They're going to have new facts and new figures. They're going to have information. There's, in fact, something on your desk to start that. And I hope that we can get everyone's attention, because those students' lives depend on what we do as far as their educational opportunities. Thousands and thousands of students' lives depend on that courses that we take in the future with Hope Scholarships and the Hope's Future. So I just am basically asking for your attention and respect to the speakers that will be coming in a second. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll yield the will.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 11th. Senator from the 11th. Your light's on. You wish to, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind all of you that today at lunch, across the street at the Department of Agriculture building, that we have an ag forecast, Georgia ag forecast, that's being presented. This is hosted by the Georgia Department of Agriculture, and you're all invited over to a luncheon and to hear the ag forecast. We're going to have an update about farm labor situation and a brief summary of the 2012 commodity forecast. So just wanted to remind all of you, you're invited to go across for lunch. Department of Agriculture starts at 11:30. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 12th. Please give the Senator your attention on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I seek representation for the counties of Baker, Calhoun, Clay, Doherty, Mitchell, Randolph, Terrell, and Quitman. In recent weeks, much has been said about the Hope Scholarship Program. Is she okay? Is she okay? Thank you. In recent weeks, much has been said about the Hope Scholarship Program, what it is not, and what it should be. Many have offered thoughts on the origin of the program. Today, I rise for this point of personal privilege with a short video of former Governor Zell Miller introducing the Hope Scholarship Program. It is my hope that by sharing this with you today, we will all understand the intention for this acclaimed scholarship program, and any shadow of a doubt will be removed as we continue our discussions and debates about the HOPE program. Thank you.
The third program proposed for funding will be the most all-inclusive scholarship program to be found in any of the 50 states for bright students who otherwise would find it difficult to go to college. Right now, only 15% of our kids are graduating from college. It is only 8% south of Macon. The national average is 25%. Georgia can do better. Georgia must do better. The most critical long-term need Georgia faces is a better educated workforce. And just when it is essential to increase the numbers of youngsters who go into college or vocational technical training, the cost of tuition is soaring out of the reach for most of our citizens. Other than health care, which largely must be addressed at the national level by Congress, this is the single best way to help our middle-income families. For them, it is a pocketbook issue of major proportions. With the lottery proceeds, Georgia can provide scholarships by the thousands to deserving students who want to go to college or a vocational school. This is Georgia's opportunity to pioneer the most far-reaching scholarship program in the nation. And not only for those who are minorities or who come from lower-income families, but also those middle-income families who are devastated with the cost of education and training beyond high school. If you want to invest in the economic future of this state, and at the same time, do something to help the forgotten average working family, this is it.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 42nd on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the senator from the 12th for bringing us those words from then Governor Miller about the middle class, working families in the state. And I also rise to talk about the Hope Scholarship. And over the last few weeks, we have begged the members of this body and the governor's office to engage in a genuine discussion on this issue. And we have not been met with facts or discussion. Instead, we have been met with name-calling. In fact, they've called me some names that I'd never heard of, and I had to go look them up. Frankly, I don't mind the name-calling. I don't mind it at all. I kind of signed up for it. But I do mind that no one is willing to face the facts. I do mind when no one is willing to admit that the Hope Scholarship is vanishing before our eyes, and I do mind that no one else is offering any solutions to the problem that we face. I have a few facts I would like to share with you, and these are not my facts, they're not Democratic facts, they're just facts. First, the Hope Scholarship as we know it is gone. The document that you see in front of you is a chart that was prepared by the Senate Budget Office using the same assumptions used by the Student Finance Commission. You'll see that in 2016, Hope pays for less than half the cost of college. And by 2020, the students who earn the Hope Scholarship will still only pay a couple $100 less than the full cost of college today. That's not a deal. That is full price. And every year, starting now, it gets worse. You can see where those lines will go. Every year, hardworking, middle-class students who work hard and earn the Hope Scholarship will still not be able to afford college. And if we continue down this path, we will march backwards. We will turn back the clock on the exact issues that you just heard Zell Miller speak about when he introduced the Hope Scholarship: the need for an educated workforce, the need to ensure that the middle class and the hardworking students from the middle class can afford and access to higher education. And if we turn back the clock on those issues and we turn our back on the middle class, then we also turn our back on a strong economy and a prosperous state. And we do it at the worst possible time for our economy, because as we look to the future, we do not need less highly educated people. We need more. Everyone knows that. The Hope Scholarship, put simply, is not a patient that has been stabilized. It is a patient that is dying a painful death, and the other leadership of this state today says we should stand aside and watch. I don't believe we can afford that mistake. Second fact: the Democratic plan to provide hope for those hardworking middle-class students is less expensive than the governor's plan. If we assume that our floating income cap this year was set at $140,000, which includes 94% of all Georgia families, you'll see the numbers from the governor's plan on the board: $408 million, $235,018 for the governor's plan for the Hope Public Scholarship. The governor's numbers come from the budget. Our numbers up here come from a simple calculation using the administration's own numbers. If you look at the report that's on your desks from the State Department of Audits, go to Table 3. You can calculate the percentage of students at each school who will receive the full scholarship under our plan. The percentage with a family income of under $140,000. You multiply that percentage by the number of students and then by the tuition at the different schools. That provides the cost for the full tuition scholarships for all of the eligible students. That's just multiplication. And you will see that the total expenditures under the Democratic plan are about $34 million less than the expenditures that we will do otherwise. What that means is that it is cheaper to preserve the Hope Scholarship for the middle class than it is to destroy it. So why are we here? Let me show you the geography. Under the Democratic plan, the full Hope Scholarship is preserved for 100% of the Hope Scholars in the green counties on this map. It is preserved for more than 90% of the Hope Scholars in the blue counties on the map. And it is close to 90% in the red counties. Let me show you, under the governor's plan that we have decided is the policy of our state, the only people who get a full scholarship are the Zell Miller Scholars. Let me show you where the Zell Miller Scholars live. Each dot on this map represents 10 Zell Miller Scholarships. We have taken the money from rural Georgia and from the middle class, and we have transferred it to Metro Atlanta and to the wealthiest people in the state. Let me give you some more specific examples about the Zell Miller Scholarship Program. If you look at these districts with equal population, District 11 in southwest Georgia has 90 Zell Miller Scholars today. And they will receive about $400,000 in scholarship funds. District 9 in Gwinnett County, by comparison, has 1,177 Zell Miller Scholars, and they will receive $5.7 million. Another rural district, District 19 in southeast Georgia, has 186 Zell Miller Scholars, and in that rural district, they will receive $700,000 worth of scholarship money. The 21st Senate District, equal population, the same number of Georgians live in each of these districts. And yet, the ones in rural Georgia will receive $700,000 in Zell Miller funding, and the ones in Cherokee County will receive almost $7 million. 10 times more money is going from rural Georgia directly to the wealthiest counties in our state. Now, let me make it plain. Do you think that is right? Do you think that is fair? Is that what we mean when we talk about the best and the brightest? The governor's plan takes the Hope Scholarship away from the middle class and away from rural Georgia and gives it to the elites in metro Atlanta, whether those people need it or not, period. And I'm not criticizing the wealthy. I'm not criticizing people who do well on the SAT. I'm one of those people. And I hope my kids are. But the government can't pay for everything. And when we can't afford to pay for everyone, we have to decide which deserving students we pay for. And the ones who get good grades and the ones who need it most are those students. And every poll after poll after poll shows that the people of Georgia overwhelmingly agree. One last fact. I just have one more thing, Mr. President. Thank you. I apologize, Mr. President. One last slide. I got an email yesterday from the University System of Georgia. There's 10,629 Zell Miller scholars, according to the university system. 400 of those scholars are black. That's 3.8%. Mr. President, I'm sorry that my time is out, but we're offering real solutions to these problems. And if they want to call us names, that's fine. As I said, that doesn't bother me. But doing nothing in the face of these facts, that does bother me. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 10th. 5 minutes on points of personal privilege. Please be mindful of that.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of this chamber. And let me thank my colleague from the 42nd for articulating what we have been trying to do for so long in explaining hope to the masses in Georgia. Let me tell you a story about a mythical figure named Robin Hood, who back in the colonial days was known for taking money from the wealthy and giving it to the poor. Now let me tell you a story about Robin Hood, and I'm not talking about an R-O-B-I-N, I'm talking about an R-O-B-B-I-N-G as in Robin from the Hood. When you hear the stories that we've just heard from the senator from the 42nd, you can only think about how wealth has been transferred in this state from those communities in rural Georgia, from those communities inside the hood that's been transferred out to the wealthier areas of this state to families, quite frankly, that don't need it. From the original intent of this program back in 1992, it was intended to benefit those from the lower as well as the middle class from the state of Georgia. And no one could say it better than the originator and the governor who presided over this program, Governor Zell Miller. And I hope we all heard in his own words what this program was intended to do. But I rise this morning to say to our governor that the changes we made last year are wrong. Those changes that we made last year have done nothing more than to reduce the geographical representation of all the Hope Scholars in the state of Georgia. The changes we made last year have done nothing more than to have a huge economic impact on rural Georgia. The changes we made last year have done nothing more than to reduce the opportunity of the Hope Grant recipients in this state. Now, if that's not Robin from the Hood, someone tell me what is. But let me also tell you this, that I'm not up here just offering words to explain the impact. I'm here to talk about real solutions to the problems with Hope Scholarship in Georgia, and we offered these solutions to our governor. Just last week, we met with the governor and we offered a package of bills that we know will save this scholarship program. We offered a package about capping hope, and we said, Governor, if you want to give Zell Miller scholarships, then give it to those kids that go to the private schools, that have private tutors, that have programs that would teach them to score 1,200 on their SAT. And I should know what I'm talking about because I have some of those students at home that have done very, very well in achieving those scores with the help and assistance of coaches at these private schools that my own kids attend. We said to the governor, why not diversify those Zell Miller scholars geographically? The numbers that you saw, 10,629 recipients of Zell Miller Scholars, and only 400 of them African Americans, would have been a lot worse had we not a year ago, along with the senator from the 2nd, amended the governor's bill to include valedictorians and salutatorians from all the high schools in the state of Georgia. This morning, my heart was saddened when I heard from the dean of the Senate, the good senator from the 14th, about how in one of the counties he represents, over $7 million in HOPE money was raised in that county, yet there was only one Zell Miller Scholar. In a little place down in South Georgia we know as Quitman, only one Zell Miller Scholar, and that person just happened to be a valedictorian. And had it not been for that amendment to the governor's bill, let me just say to the senator from the 14th that that student would not have received a HOPE scholarship with his Zell Miller Scholarship. The package of bills that we offer to the governor is making its way through this General Assembly. It's my hope that all of us will embrace these changes, that all of us will see fit to return HOPE to its original intent. The senator from the 42nd said 94% of the families in Georgia with its $140,000 cap can be served. 94%. And I suggest to you that that other 6% probably has the resources to send their kids to private schools or to any school of their choosing. It is my hope that we stop this robbing from the hood and return HOPE to its original founding. Thank you, and I yield.